Hey guys, it's Last Son. Welcome to King of Puro, episode 7. On this episode, we're going to start the Fighting Spirit Tour with day 1 and day 2. I'm hoping to have some, good stories, good matches, build off of our success from TagMania. So let's go ahead and get into the booking of the match. And here you can see a small little preview of the matches we're going to have. We're trying to set up some storylines between Furusawa and Funakoshi, Finley and Giant Brody, Okamoto and Dynamite Narahashi. Just a couple, different storylines. Hopefully building during this tour. So we'll get into the first match here. Live from Osaka in front of 578 Black Canvas Grappling fans. Our first pre-show segment gets us to 47 as Team Taku and Kamasaka and Kiyotaka take on Dreadnought, James Diaz, Nobuyuki Kubo, and Takanori Doi. So Kiyotaka had a 45. Pretty good performances from Kamasaka. Yoshinaka Taku always has great performances. Young Lions are coming along. Doi with a 34. Kubo had a 27. James Diaz a 37. And Dreadnought had a 22. All in all, pretty good match. Trying to set up a few things here. Some, young Lions getting some experience and work with the elder guys. And then coming up after the match, as now Kiyotaka and Yoshinaka Taku have to be pulled apart after the pin, as it looks like Kiyotaka was angry with Taku for scoring the pin in the match, and had to be pulled apart by their tag team partners for that reason. Just building potential storylines in the future. That segment got us to 35. It's part of the idea of maybe even putting some, angles on the pre-show where the low scores won't hurt us, and it also get these guys experience and hopefully popularity. In our next pre-show match, got us at 38, as Ichiro Mitsukuri, Koyo Kinoshita, and Naozan Goto defeat Iki Hosaka, Yutaka Ogata, and Genji Kasaka. As Kinoshita pins Hosaka with a belly-to-belly suplex. The segment got us at 38. Goto scored us a 45. Kinoshita had a 38. Mitsukuri had a 36. Kasaka 30. Ogata 23. Kasaka had a 19. Trying to get some popularity and momentum built for Mitsukuri, Kinoshita, and Goto here, and taking on some of our young lions that could also, potentially learn some skills and pass on some of those skills to the young lions. Not a bad match, though, for that. We'll get into the main card here as the American Cobras and Iputsusai and Okimasa take on each other. This segment got us at 56. As Storm Spillane submitted Iputsusai with a kneeling Boston Crab. It does mention Iputsusai was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else. Spillane had a 56. Malloy had a 53. Okimasa had a 49, and Iputsusai had a 35. We had lots of good things going on in this with the tag team specialist bonus, the announcing. The match got us off to a strong start. It was a 56, pretty good, especially with Iputsusai being in there, with being in time decline. He's not going to turn in the greatest of ratings, but the American Cobras and Okimasa made up for that. Just another match building the Cobras and trying to get their momentum and built and popularity built. Up next, we have an angle with Reizan Okamoto, Dynamite Narahashi, Rokuman Matsushita, and Yoshisada Matsuzawa, as Narahashi calls out and tells Reizan that he's not the wrestler he thought he was because he lost TagMania, and he expected a wrestler of his stature, one of the pillars of the company, to win TagMania, especially with a partner like Matsushita. and just expresses his disappointment, which Raizan does not like. And Raizan tells Narahashi that if he feels that way, he would love to, show him in the ring how much of a wrestler he actually is, and sets a match for later. Up next, we have a match between Bunraku Tori and Tanyu Tashasai, who take on Roku Soramura and Shimpai Hiroshi, as Tori pins Soramura with a flying forearm off the top. Hiroshi was pointed out as being the weak link. This got us a 51, as Tashasai got a 56. Tori had a 58. Shimpai Hiroshi had a 37, and Roku Soramura had a 53. This is going to be setting up a series of matches between Tori and Soramura, who are basically trying to show the crowd and the company and each other who is the better technical wrestler, as both of these individuals have very high technical skills. So I thought it would be an easy way to showcase those skills and get some, technical master classes from it. As we move into the Reizan Okamoto and Rokumon Matsushita versus Dynamite Narahashi and Yoshisawa Matsuzara, as Okamoto pins Narahashi with a brainbuster suplex. This guy's a 60. We did get Matsushita getting an injury, which is not good, but he did pick up a 55. Okamoto had a 75. Matsuzara had a 47, and Dynamite Narahashi had a 50. Even though he was slowed by his injury, Matsushita, put in a 55, so that's really good. This is just, like I said, furthering that storyline of between Narahashi and Okamoto, and him calling him out after losing in TagMania. So I'm hoping these two individuals will do some great things for us this tour. And our next match was got us a 49, as the Wild Ones take on Giant Brody and Sofu Ozawa, and Big Bruiser Finley gets the win over Ozawa with a trash compaction. So Big Bruiser Finley got a 62, Animal Harker 48, Ozawa 30, and Brody a 51. The two I were more importantly focused on was Finley and Brody. I'm trying to do a potential storyline this tour between those two, like two big men, just fighting it out. They don't like each other. Ozawa being a 30, I knew he was going to be the weak link because he's in time decline. But there's quite a few guys on our roster in time decline, so you just have to use them when you can. Which this does lead us into the angle of Giant Brody and Finley staring at each other nose to nose after the match. Neither one, wanting to back down. Both of them just menacingly staring at each other nose to nose. Before their tag team partners have to kind of pull them apart and to get them out of the ring and leave the ring. That segment did give us a 52, which I'm happy with. As we move into our next segment, it'll be an angle with Mabuchi, Furusawa, and Funakoshi. As Furusawa is furious at losing to Funakoshi at TagMania and Suki, he wants another shot at him and Suki, and that will lead us into our match tonight. And that leads us into our main event, which got us a 65, as Furusawa and Akoma defeat Funakoshi and Suki, as Furusawa submits Suki with the Furusawa armbar. Suki had a 69, Funakoshi had a 70. Great work from both of those guys. Akoma had a 54, and Furusawa had a 75. Really happy with this segment, how it turned out, and how it's going to start leading into the rest of the tour between Funakoshi and Furusawa, how they're going to, go back and forth at each other's throats. And leading up to a title match at the Fighting Spirit event. So Furusawa is going to be taking on Funakoshi a lot during this tour. I'm hoping for some big, performances from both these guys. And won the show, getting a 60 overall. Raises our popularity in 7 regions. I'm happy with that. We had some pretty good performances throughout. Furusawa and Funakoshi's match was pretty good. The Angle got a 66 right before that. There was a few matches that did not live up to what I was hoping. With the Wild Ones one especially was that the Bunraku Tori Tasha Sai one I felt should have been better. But all in all, a good show. We'll go ahead and get into Fighting Spirit Tour Day 2 now and advance the storylines hopefully a little bit more, get a little bit more, performances from the guys and accomplish a couple of our goals of pushing a few guys, things like that. And here's the card we booked. Funakoshi Suki and Finley taking on Furusawa Akoma and Giant Brody is going to be our main event. We're going to have Okamoto and Tashisai taking on Narahashi and Matsuzara again. We're going to have Tori versus Sotomura. We're going to have Team Taku taking on Miura and Yoshizawa. And we're going to have a couple pre-show matches between the Young Lions and some of the veterans getting some momentum, passing on some skills to our Young Lions, and also having James Diaz and Hirose, work with some Young Lions here. And live from Kobe, 560 great Black Canvas Grappling fans come out to see Tour Day 2 of the Fighting Spirit. We kick it off with a 37 rated pre-show as Hirose and James Diaz get the win over Kasaka and Ogata when Hirose submitted Ogata with the Mountain Sleeper. Hirose turned in a 42, James Diaz a 33, Ogata had a 22, and Kasaka 31. We did get a note that Diaz and Hirose don't really have any chemistry as a team, and they were all over the place. So that hurt the score just a little bit, but picked us up a victory for Hirose and Diaz, both some momentum for those guys. Diaz's skills are going so great, I'd like to get him into the main card as soon as possible. In our next match, we had Animal Harker, Kamasaka, and Kiyotaka taking on Nobuyuki Kubo, Takanori Doi, and Iki Hosaka. This got us a 42, as Harker turned in a 45, Kiyotaka had a 44, Kamasaka had a 43, Hosaka had a 20, Doi 34, and Kubo a 28. So Doi and Kubo they're improving. They're getting better in-ring performances as we go. I was expecting a little bit more from our vets, but hopefully we are passing some skills on here to these guys. We're getting those vets, Parker and Kamasaka and Kiyotaka, some momentum and some victories. And we're hoping for good improvements from our young lions. And Kubo and Doi are improving, and that's great. Can't wait to get those guys into the main card as well. Start building up our youth and using some of these young dojo guys. I'm really excited for that. In our next match, Miura and Yoshizawa take on Team Taku. They got us to 61, as Team Taku drew with Miura and Yoshizawa following a double countout. We had Miura at a 56, Yoshizawa at a 59. Those guys are pretty consistently in the 50s, the high 50s sometimes. Pretty consistent. You put those two in the match, you're going to get 56s, 55s, 59s, anywhere in that mid 50s, high 50s range, which is great. Yoshinaka Taku had a 64, and Toshinobu Taku had a 34. Both these teams have great chemistry teaming together. Tag team specialist bonus for Miura and Yoshizawa. Got us off to a great start. 61, I'm happy with. Granted, it's not much higher than our Kansai popularity, but it's not below that, and I really don't want us to go below that level if we're going to keep trying to build our popularity and potentially get into medium sized and get more successful and try to take on the Burning Hammers and Pride Glories of our nation and move our way into the top echelon of promotions in the world. So we move into the next part of the card, and we get an angle here that gets us a 48 between Bunrakuken Tori and Roku Sotomura. As Tori just basically comes out and tells Sotomura he's the better wrestler, and there's nothing Sotomura can do about it. So Tori came across well, it says, and everything, announcing color commentary gave us a boost, and it got the crowd hotter, which is, what we're wanting to do here. We're just trying to build the storyline as well, and hopefully get a good payoff at the event coming up at Fighting Spirit. And in the next match, we follow that right up as Tori and Sotomura get into the ring together. It got us a 46. As Tori submits Sotomura with the twisted bow and arrow. Not really happy with this, but I think it ended up being my fault because the match was done in too rowdy of a crowd. We should have placed this a little bit earlier. That was a mistake on my part. Tori got a 59. Sotomura had a 51. I think if we would have got it a little bit earlier, maybe opened with the angle, then went into this match, that rating would have been a little bit higher. Then we could have done the tag match after that. Live and learn. Sometimes you're booking these things and you think it's going to go well to plan, and it turns out it doesn't. But 46, we'll just have to live with it and move on and get some good scores, hopefully, from these guys. And we'll move into our next match, a 53 rated segment with Naozan Goto and the American Cobras taking on Koyo Kinoshita and Ippatsusai and Okimasa. As Goto picks up the win here by pinning Koyo Kinoshita with the Goto Slam. Goto had a 49, Spillane 55, Malloy 55, Kinoshita 36, Okimasa 48, and Ippatsusai 36. I was hoping for a little bit more, but not horribly upset with the 53. We're just trying to get Goto and the American Cobras a little bit more wins, momentum, build their popularity and their overness. Really love the Cobras, expecting big things from them. Trying to build up Goto. I know the game thinks of him as a star because he's huge, a former sumo wrestler. The stamina issue is what kills me with him. Which I'm trying to put him in some matches and build that up. So hopefully we can do that and take care of that issue. In our next match, getting us a 57 is Reizan Okamoto and Tanu Tashisai taking on Dynamite Narahashi and Yoshisada Matsuzara. As Okamoto pins Matsuzara with a brainbuster suplex. Tashisai got us a 55, Okamoto 70, Matsuzara had a 44, Narahashi had a 46. Pretty happy with that segment and the ratings it got. Was hoping for a tiny little bit more from the star power of Okamoto and Tashisai, but 57 is not bad. It will raise the popularity in most of our areas, and that's kind of what we have to judge this on. Hopefully, as we move on, get some of these younger guys up, we can start having some different matches and getting some of these older time decline guys and other mid card guys into like a sort of a pecking order that we can build good matches around and build good cards around. We're going to move into an angle between Furusawa and Funakoshi. This is a 66. As Funakoshi calls out Furusawa, tells him he's not on his level and may never ever be on Funakoshi's level. This had Furusawa working the crowd well, using the freedom to improvise to his advantage. But Funakoshi struggled going off script, so something we'll have to note for the future. Then we'll move into our main event of Funakoshi Suki and Big Bruiser Finley taking on Mabuchi Furusawa, Blastakoma, and Giant Brody. It got us a 64, as Funakoshi pins Giant Brody with a butterfly backbreaker. Finley turned in a performance of 65, Suki 69, Funakoshi 71, Giant Brody had a 52, Blastakoma a 55, and Furusawa a 73. Not upset with this at all. Happy with this match. 64 on a tour show with these guys. That's good. Really going to help us with our popularity. Help these guys with their popularity, their overness and momentum. Just trying to build the product, build up some of our guys, and keep chugging away at it. And that will end our show, Tour Day 2. It gets us a 60 overall, raises our popularity in 7 regions, so it does not hit the Kansai region. But we have to get those other regions up to move to the next level. So 60 is not bad. Pretty happy with that so far. So everything Fighting Spirit Tour is going well so far, I think. And we'll move in now to Tour Day 3 in the next episode. Well, guys, that's another episode of King of Puro in the books, and we're continuing through the Fighting Spirit Tour. Please like and subscribe. let me know anything in the comments that you'd like to know. I'd like to, interact with you guys, hear what you're thinking, hear things I should be doing maybe a little bit better, hear what other matches you guys might like to see. But as always, I'm Last Son, and I'll see you guys in the next video.